All right, so this is just another example of how to grade with a rubric on the iPad and the advantages of giving a kid a free response quiz or a test versus straight multiple choice or fill in the blank, which is brutal on kids. It doesn't allow them to show their thinking, and it doesn't give any potential for partial credit for good thinking for the student. And not only that, giving feedback to the student, which they desperately need, is not possible in a multiple choice or a fill in the blank format as many people are using. So let me grade this here. Each problem is worth 5 points on a 5 point rubric, where 5 is 100%. So 5 is 100% A, and then 4, like this is 100% here, and then A is 90%, 3, 80%. I'm just talking about the rubric first here, and 2 is corresponds to a 70% on a 5 point scale, and 1 meaning they attempted it but really didn't know much. This person here graphed it well and got the correct response because they had to graph it and estimate the log to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to give them a 5 out of 5. Here they had to find A, which they showed their thinking here, and they got the right A value, so that's perfect. And here they have to find and or represent this log base 8 of 27 in respect or in terms of A or B, one or both. And if you look at the mathematics here, and if this was a multiple choice quiz, they would probably get a 0 on this question, but this student is smart. And even though their method was kind of crazy, they switched to base 10 correctly here. That's correct. That's correct. 27 is 3 cubed, 8 is 2 cubed. That's correct. This is correct here. Using the properties of logs, that's correct. She simplified correctly, got the right result, and then she went back to base 2, and that's correct. But she didn't fulfill her obligation of write it in terms of A or B. So if this was a multiple choice or fill in the blank, she would get 0 because she didn't fulfill the objective. But this right up here, according to the given, is equal to B, which is correct. And so I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5, which is an A quality work because this person knows what they're doing. But if this was multiple choice or free response, or fill in the blank, this person would have got a 0, even though she demonstrated incredible skill on the properties of logs, which this is all about. And only in a free response testing modality or format would a person do well on a question like this instead of the other format. And this person on a rubric out of 15, 14 out of 15 on this scale, not strict, this is a rubric scale now, is equivalent to a 96%, which obviously is A quality work. But on a fill in the blank or multiple choice or fill in the blank test, like a lot of people are using here, this person would have not scored that high. I'm at 96. And there we go. And they wouldn't have achieved that. They would have got 2 questions out of 3 correct, which is a 67%. So the student, even though she's extremely bright and is an A student here, would have probably failed it because 2 questions out of 3 right on a either selected response, multiple choice, or fill in the blank format, she would have done terrible. But here, she showed her thinking, and only in a free response format can they demonstrate their thinking, and you can actually see their thinking and give constructive feedback. That's the advantage of this, and that's why I'm doing it. It takes longer to grade, of course, but at least you can give the kids feedback. Like here, I don't know how she's getting 2.6. What she should have graphed is the second function here, this one. So this is the feedback that she needs. She needs to graph y equals 7, which is up here. And then find the intersection point and then move down right here. So this person here, they use Desmos, okay? And I know that just because that's the way I taught them. I taught them how to do it by hand and then how to use a calculator called Desmos that is, online. So I'm not going to give this person full credit here because they didn't show it and how to illustrate how to do it by hand. She just used technology. So that's a 3 out of 5. And then here she knew it was between, the log was between 1 and 2. So that's good. but she's kind of not understanding what's going on here. But she does have the correct response here, although 5, I'm not sure what's going on there. It should be 7. So here, and she's not sure if A is 1, but it's between 1 and 2. So you could say, hey, meet me after class and let's go over this. But I'm not quite sure what she's doing on her work right here, so I'll give her 3 out of 5 because she's on the right track though, so this is good. On the last one here, she changed the base 2 correctly. Oh no, she actually used 2 different rules. So she went here. She changed the base 2 correctly here. This is correct here. This is correct here. And you simplify, and you get B, and that's correct. So she gets full credit here. But again, if this was multiple choice or fill in the blank and she entered that in, it would be marked incorrect because there's no forgiving on a multiple choice or a fill in the blank. It's either right or wrong. So, and that's the problem with fill in the blank and multiple choice. And here she's got a rubric score of 11 out of 15, which is an 86%. Okay, so that's a high, that's a high B, as everybody knows. And this slider. Okay, there we go. But again, she would have scored so much less had she been on another format. And that's why I do not like the multiple choice format because it's not forgiving to students and it's not fair. Basically, it's definitely not fair. There's been a ton of research against multiple choice tests. They're not even given in many of other countries. They flat out do not give multiple choice exams. And see, this is good right here. The student started correctly here. They're using a property correctly, but they didn't know how to continue. So here, I would give them partial credit because they got started. All they had to do is continue on this. So I would give them 2 out of 5, which is a 70% on this portion here. They showed some understanding here, but on a free response or multiple choice, they would have got a 0. 0 out of, 0 credit for that one. But that's not fair, as I keep on saying. This student actually does really well overall and should be rewarded that. I mean, you shouldn't just blow away the student with zeros. And that's what a multiple choice test does. If you get it wrong, it's a 0. There's no partial credit. And that's what's brutal. Like, this person needs to continue on this right here. They're doing well. They got the system right. This is correct, okay? But they didn't graph it. They should have came up here at 7 and graphed y equals 7. They got that, so that you got to graph it and you got to let them know what's going on. They should have continued the table here, 3, 8. They got the first 2 points right. They just got to continue the graph. This is 2 to the x, so continue up. And then they need to take their intersection point and estimate right here. And that's about 2.7. That's equal to the log base 2 of 10. 7. So they had to finish this, but they got a good start. So I would give them a 2 out of 5 because they had a good start there. Instead of a 0, because on a multiple choice test, like I keep saying, they would have got 0 on that because they didn't finish the problem. They said it was between 2. It's not between 2 and 8, so they didn't know. Okay, but they had some decent thinking. They formed the system. They did part A. They did part A, B, and C correctly. But they would have got 0 credit on a multiple choice test. And that's not fair, as I keep on saying. On this one, this step is good. They went to base 2. They used the exponent property correctly. So this is good. They just have to continue. This right here is just 3. And then 3's cancel, and you get B. All right, so none of this needed, none of this needed. Okay, they almost got it. So on a multiple choice test, they would have probably got 0 out of whatever it was, 0 credit. But this student applied 1, 2, 3 properties correctly. Okay, so overall I see a 10 out of 15, and that's pretty good. That's a B quality work. It's an 83% on the Rubik scale. This is why I'm a proponent of free response versus multiple choice, because there's no way that a student can do well I'm talking a large number of students can do well on a multiple choice format. I've been teaching for 29 years, and we used to give multiple choice tests all the time, 30 question tests in geometry. It blew them away. It stressed them out, blew them away, and the overall scores of the class over all the teachers in the geometry department were terrible. And then we abandoned the multiple choice format and started designing what are called common assessments, free response, with a little multiple choice added in just for stat keeping. Okay, but they definitely, multiple choice tests are not fair to kids, and that's why we all give partial credit. So why are we all doing that here online? Why are we all giving multiple choice and free fill in the blank? Why are we doing that? I don't know. And I think that's a major factor of why the F rate is so darn high. You guys just think about what I've said, and I think there's a connection there. We need to get back to traditional grading practices like this, right? And allow the kids to respond in a good format. That's just my take.